Good evening. It is 12:15 or something like that on it's Monday, Thursday, Tuesday, I don't know, something like that. I think it's Monday. Yeah. Tomorrow's Tuesday. Anyways, it is that time of the evening when we talk about the Bible, okay? So, we're talking about Genesis here, Genesis 3. So, we're in the Bible, Genesis 3. Boom, Genesis 3. We're going to read you a little quick verse here. It's only a paragraph long, but it describes how God is merciful, even though he's just. Okay, so he's got justice and mercy at the same time. What happens here in Genesis 3 is the fall. Okay, the fall is a big deal. It's original sin. It means that when Adam and Eve ate the apple, sin entered the world. It became known good and evil. Prior to eating the apple, we were just Adam and Eve were living in bliss. Put it that way, okay? To be frank, they were put in the Garden of Eden, which is paradise, naked and unafraid and unashamed. You do the math on that one and imagine what they were up to, okay? So they were having a good old time, and then they decided that they were going to be like God, okay? So what they did was they defied God. God gave them only one rule. And they broke it. And they did exactly the same thing that we would do if we were in their shoes. All of us would. All of us would have eaten the apple. Why wouldn't you want to know about the knowledge of good and evil? That makes you kind of like God, see? That's the problem. The devil, serpent, tempted them. Let me read the verse to you real quickly. So, after my point here is that not only did the devil tempt them, they sinned by eating the apple, which is the only thing that God told them not to do. It's the forbidden fruit. Okay, it's the knowledge of good and evil. It makes you go from being a person that just is in total. No human beings ever experienced the type of. I can't really describe it. I don't know because I've never experienced it. But it's like, I guess, some sort of perfect peace where you don't know the difference between good and evil. I don't know. Nowadays, we don't really know the difference between good and evil either, but back then, they didn't know it at all. Okay. So, anyways, we're in chapter Genesis 3, and this was hold on one second. Oh goodness. Okay. And the eyes, okay, this is it right here. This is hilarious. Not hilarious, it's actually very serious, okay? Okay, so now the serpent. This is chapter 3, chapter 3, verse 1. Okay, and then we're just going to go through this real quickly. And then I'll tell you how God's merciful in this whole thing, okay? So now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which the Lord God had made. And he said unto the woman, Ye hath God said, Ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden. And the woman said unto the serpent, We may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden. But of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God hath said, Ye shall not eat it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. Pretty straightforward, right? You're going to die if you eat this. And yet, what do? The exact opposite of what we should do. Which is also what Paul says that human nature is. We do what we should not do. It's unfortunate, but we do it. Heck, I'm the worst of all. Anyways, so it says in verse 5, For God doth know, in that day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be open, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. That's the problem, see? And the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise. So she took of the fruit thereof, and did eat it, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat. Yes, they're standing naked in a garden in paradise, and she's doing the one thing God tells them not to do. Eat of the apple to develop the knowledge of good and evil. Guess what happens next? She gives the apple to her husband, or her mate. Yeah, typical. No, I'm just kidding. It would have gone the other way. Either way, if man had eaten it first and gave it to women, or women ate it first, gave it to man. Either way, but it's just kind of interesting that the woman ate it first and then gave it to man. Anyways, I won't go there. All right, so and then verse 7:3-7, and the eyes of both of them both were open, and they knew they were naked, and they sewed fig leaves together. So they were afraid. They were ashamed, rather, for the first time ever. They had been naked and not even known it for like, I don't know how long. I don't know how long they were in the garden prior to the fall, but it wasn't that long, but it was long enough to where, you know, they had probably a lot of fun, to put it frankly. So anyways, and the eyes of both of them were open, and they knew they were naked, and they sewed fig leaves together, and they made themselves aprons. Golly. And then verse 8, and they heard the voice of the Lord walking in the garden in the cool of day, and Adam and his wife hid themselves from the presence of the Lord amongst the trees of the garden. And the Lord God had called unto Adam and said, Where art thou? So God's in his garden, which he created, calling out to Adam and Eve, saying, Where art thou? As if he doesn't already know. It's like God's just messing with them, okay? Anyways, stupid humans. We are all so stupid. To make a long story short, so this video doesn't last for 20 minutes, I'm just going to break this down real quick. God obviously knows where they are, and he says, I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed. It shall bruise thy heel, and thou shalt bruise his heel. He was talking to the serpent there. Okay, he's talking directly to the devil. He says, this is a prophecy, okay? He says, in sorrow thou shalt bring forth children. Wait, hold on. I will put enmity between thee and the woman. He's talking about the serpent. This is why the snakes crawl. I know it's kind of crazy, but snakes are doomed to crawl on the ground because of what the serpent did. The devil used the serpent to tempt Eve in the original sin in the Garden of Eden. Okay, I know this sounds crazy, but it's all true. It's true. Anyways, the point that I wanted to make is in Genesis. Oh gosh, where did it go? So what happens after that is that, yeah. So the woman has to bear children, and during that time she's going to be in pain. Okay, sorry, hate to break it to you, but the man has to work his butt off. Toil the soil. So, you know, we both got to do our own thing. God made these curses, not these curses, but these punishments, I guess you would say, because we sinned against him. We did the one thing, or they rather did, Adam and Eve did the one thing that you're not supposed to do, which was to eat the apple, and that's all God asked. And then what do you know? What do we do as humans? We do it because we like to defy God, because it's, I don't know, defiance is fun or something like that. Anyways, my whole point here is that God still loved them enough to send his only begotten son to save them. His name is Jesus Christ. If you put your faith in him, he will forgive you for everything you've ever done, past, present, and future. I love you all. Be free. Text me, call me, anything if you want, if you have any questions. I know this is a long video, but I had to make a little bit of a point there about original sin. Just want to get it out there that we sinned against God. God had one rule, and we broke it. I mean, come on, guys. It's not like rocket science here. I mean, one freaking rule. There's all these trees in the Garden of Eden that are beautiful fruit-bearing trees, and yet Eve and Adam walk up to the one which God says not to eat of, and they eat it. It's called original sin, okay? Y'all have a wonderful day. I love you. Be free. Bye.